Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 798, and this time it will be updates about our Saturday on Tenerife. Saturday was our 11th day out of 15 technically, but obviously the first and the last day were mostly focused on travel, so we were effectively 13 days. So from effective days, that was our 10th day. But it doesn't really matter. It's not about technicalities. If you watched the previous episode, you know that on day 10 we switched accommodation to another hotel, and that hotel was a bit promising but with a bit of suspicion, and it turned out to be terrible. So because we already had non-refundable 2 nights booked in that hotel, we wanted to get the most out of the day outside and avoid hotel at any cost. We had breakfast included, so we did the breakfast, and breakfast was the worst breakfast I ate probably so far. I don't think I ate worse breakfast even in B&Bs, like the kind of mainstream B&Bs in the UK, or where really food is just kind of generic stuff from the markets very often. Not always, so I'm not generalizing, but very often you hit that, especially if you go for cheaper B&Bs. Then obviously they need to, they think they need to balance somehow the costs, but I think that buying shit in markets is equally as expensive as buying some other stuff, especially if you consider that customers notice that and will never book again, or they will spread the word and actually minimize your potential revenue and customer base. So but anyway, I diverged too much. So the day started easy. After that, another disappointing moment, which was breakfast. Elizabeth stayed in the room and did her kind of routine and her exercises, while Julian and myself, we went to play a bit of that rundown mini golf. It was fun regardless, but obviously we had other plans. We decided to pack things up and go towards El Teide, which was kind of main goal for us to achieve on Tenerife from exploration and hiking perspective. Unfortunately, we didn't make it for a couple of reasons. Too late, I've learned that there is a permit needed to climb the last 200 meters to the peak. Not much of a problem, except for the fact that the permits are, because they are free and there is only limited amount of people that can daily climb that last bit of El Teide, they go out very fast, and they are named permits, so you can't just buy it from someone or anything like that. And there was no permits for the stay that we were there, and the only option was to take a guided tour with some hiking guide, which obviously from free permit elevated the whole thing to about 130-150 euro per person. We wouldn't mind, but it seemed like most of the guides were booked already as well. So even though it's not kind of touristic, very touristic, kind of saturated season time, they were all taken. So we were too late to grab it. We could still kind of wing it, but there were other factors, like we weren't prepared for certain things, and we misjudged the fact that El Teide is quite high, so temperature up there is different, obviously, and conditions might change and we didn't have proper clothing, so we won't be risking it and doing some random stuff just for the sake of climbing it. Another factor was that you could either climb it from the car park, which took about three and a half hours one way, so you need about 6 to 7 hours to just get to El Teide peak, even if you had the permit. Or you could use the cable car, and cable car from car park to the base station, where the gates are and guards are and where the permits are necessary, is an experience in itself. So we decided, well, we probably will go for cable car, and we enjoy maybe the last bit we'll try to wing it. Maybe some people are just going through the gates and some guards just don't really care about it if it's not too busy. But cable car also has its moments, and it doesn't operate when the wind is high or when there are other bad conditions that could endanger customers. So for safety reasons, cable car wasn't operational for another 2 or 3 days when we were planning to go there. So it was a bit disappointing, but we decided to go to El Teide anyway, to the car park, and see how everything looks. What can we do? Maybe we can ask an information, and maybe something else, some other chance occurs or something like that. And regardless, it's a huge El Teide National Park with plenty of hiking routes or trails, plenty of things to see and peaks to climb without the permit and anything that it's only about El Teide. Nothing else requires permit. The only disadvantage was that I couldn't use the drone, so there will be literally almost no footage in this episode, except for a small surprise at the end. But no footage of El Teide or surroundings, because in El Teide National Park there's strict prohibition on using drones, especially for tourists and recreational users. There is possibility to request a permit from the governing body, and you might receive it, but again, that probably requires, I don't think they will allow that for open license, so you need to have a more advanced license, and you need to do it way in advance with specific date probably in mind. So it's not like you can just fly around and film it, which on one side is good because you haven't seen any drones and nobody was bothering you there. On the other hand, it's a bit of a shame because there's so much to film there that it would be nice to have a bit of clips from that area. Anyway, so we used only our cameras and the phones, so not much of footage is there except for ourselves. We drove to the car park. There was a little restaurant there. We ate a bit of a meal there to make sure that we don't have, we don't walk hungry. We checked the information office. They just confirmed basically that the cable car isn't available and there's no way to get there. We thought about going to a nearby peak, Montaña Blanca, basically I think a white mountain, but it was again about 2.5 hours at least to walk up there, and we didn't have enough time. I wasn't confident to go there, so instead of doing any big trail, we just kind of drove around, and on the way back towards home we were kind of stopping and seeing different things, and along the way we decided that we'll pick some trail and just walk it. And at some stage, about halfway towards our home or hotel, that terrible hotel that we didn't want to come back to, We found a trail and we walked through the forests, very nice forests. And, you know, it was a bit boring, but I knew that we are going towards something specific. So some special point. There was a point that we were kind of trying to achieve. And it was LosArcos, which is basically a ravine or a gorge that was weirdly shaped, but beautifully and smoothly. And very often people go there for, I think you call it canyoning or rappelling, or there's another way, abseiling, I believe. So basically just climbing down using ropes and gear to the places where you normally wouldn't be able to reach, like caves or ravines or things like that. And there are guided tours to go there, but we decided to use that hiking route to get to the point where we'll be overseeing the canyon and maybe we can see something. And I still took a drone, the small one, DJI Neo, to see, because it's small enough, it's lightweight. It was already on the verge of national park, probably still within the borders, but nobody would probably care there to bother. So I took it. If there's a chance, I would kind of do short footage, and this is what I did. So I'll add it to the episode at the end. And so we reached that. It was quite a way, because it was about, I think, 5 kilometers one way. So we were on the verge of sunset when we came back. It was beautiful view. The route itself was a bit boring. From geological perspective, it was amazing, because you could see a lot of lava flows that are probably thousands years old, and different kind of formation. You could see remains of the Tenerife wildfires that they were fighting some year. I don't remember which one, but you can still see the black trees from the bottom. Like the first couple of meters of trees were just charred. But so there was variety, but for most people it would probably be a bit boring. For Elizabeth it was a bit boring. Julian was okay, but again, LosArcos were amazing, even though we couldn't see them really see them in detail, but the drone made some footage that we can use and show you. And afterwards we came back to the car and started driving back to hotel, and I noticed something suspicious. I thought that we used too much fuel for what we drove, and I already kind of noticed something suspicious on the way to El Teide, but on the way back it was even more noticeable, probably because of the first notice. I was more aware and I was checking. And it was weird that we not a lot more fuel was used, but enough that I saw the gauge to move for such an economic car that we got rented. It was a bit suspicious, but I said, listen, we probably climbed a lot of, you know, mountainous roads, and it was a very straining for the car, so maybe we used more fuel than usual. So we drove along the way we stopped at La Orotava, which is a bigger town where we wanted to eat. We found a kind of a bit of hipster eatery. It's Oishi Burgers. It was a very lovely place in terms of staff and customer service. There were even a small kind of board games that you could use on the kind of rent out. You didn't pay anything. You could just take it to the table, and while you wait for food, you could play and whatever. And it was mostly focused on cocktails and the burgers. But we found something for ourselves. We ate it. It was fresh food, but it was missing something. Probably a bit of spices and all that stuff wouldn't hurt. So it was a bit bland, but it at least it was fresh. So I can't complain. As long as it's fresh, it's good. So we ate it and then we drove back home or to the hotel. And when we parked the car at the same car park near the baseball pitch, I noticed that the fuel didn't drop that much, but still it was dropping a little bit too fast. But I kind of kept it in my head. We went to the hotel, we spent the evening together, and we went to sleep. Tomorrow, it will be a breakthrough because it will be related to that fuel thing. And believe me, it was a very stressful time, stressful day in general, but this particular thing was out of my nightmares, especially that I'm very stressed when we travel anywhere and I want things to go smooth, so I make sure that everything is prepared, everything is pre-booked, sorted out, that I have everything printed, what I need to have printed and all the stuff. But yeah, you need to wait for the tomorrow episode, and if you're interested, then make sure that you watch it. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll add some footage from LosArcos to the end, so stay a minute or two to watch it. In the meantime, I'll say my goodbye for today. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned, and see you again tomorrow.
I told you I'm not here to mess around, and you've been acting too mysterious. You didn't think I'd go, but do you now? You never took me seriously. You don't have the time for me. I don't have the time to please you. I'll pack all your things away. You're welcome. Broken promises that got me out of work. I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. Don't wanna deal with you, don't wanna feel for you. It's your loss. Broken promises that got me out of work. I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. Don't wanna deal with you, don't wanna feel for you. It's your loss. I never really liked the way you dressed. I guess I thought your style might grow on me. You're never really honest, made me guess. And now I want you far from close to me. You don't have the time for me. I don't have the time to please you. I'll pack all your things away. You're welcome. Broken promises that got me out of work. I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. Don't wanna deal with you, don't wanna feel for you. It's your loss. Broken promises that got me out of work. I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. Don't wanna deal with you, don't wanna feel for you. It's your loss. I told